All right, guys. So I've been getting a few questions in terms of, you know, what kind of things, how do we move from point A to point B? And what's the quickest way of getting there? And what can you do for me? And how do you compare to all of these other people? So I want to do something really quickly because I think it's going to be really helpful in like everything that you guys do. It's not really about selling you guys on anything. Um, that's not really kind of what we're trying to do. I really kind of want to get you guys a visual model of what I think has been happening when you're trying different things and it's not working. So I'm going to try to draw for you guys today. We'll see how well that goes. Um, so if you kind of think about, everything that you've done, everything that you've tried is kind of like on this matrix, right? So it's the result of what kind of efforts you put forward and what kind of results you're actually getting, right? So if over here we have your results, rid of that, we've got your results over here, okay? And here is the amount of effort that it takes. So if these results are kind of like grim, right? We don't get results versus, like, holy crap, this is definitely where I want to be. And on our effort, this is kind of like hard and this is like really, really easy, right? So we're not spending all of our time, all of our effort, all of our brain power into doing different things. So each of these four quadrants, they are a direct relation to different things. So for example, if things are really, really hard and I get no results, so this is where you start to hear like people saying that, like I've tried something else and I feel like I got ripped off, or it just didn't work for me. My business is kind of special. They feel like it's wasted effort, right? Like I did everything that I was told to do. I was researching everything. I did everything that I was supposed to do, but nothing that I was trying was actually working. And you end up feeling like everything's a waste, right? Like everything is pointless and that it's a constant, waste of time and waste of effort and all those kind of things. So that's what happens when things are really, really hard and you're not getting the results that you want. Now, sometimes, and if you're anything like me, my dad always told me, when you work really, really hard, you're going to get what you want. And there are times where when you put in the effort, you do get the rewards, right? So up here, you do get the rewards that you're looking for. So you're finding the clients, it's getting easier for you maybe, but you've got the clients, you've got the team members, but maybe your team members are really difficult. Instead of going and finding the information on their own or doing their own research or kind of doing their own legwork, they're constantly emailing you. So this happens a lot when you have really, really big teams that have not been taught very well. They're really not duplicatable, right? Because when you figure out your systems, ideally you want to be able to duplicate yourself over and over and provide people with the way to do those kind of things. So yeah, you might be getting the results. You might have large teams. You might have lots of customers, but it's like a time suck on you. You spend, it's like all consuming, right? You wake up in the middle of the night because you can't sleep anymore because you've got so many things that are going on. You're spending all of your day doing all of the things that need to be done all of the time to continue to get the results that you're getting. And it's exhausting. And we have our families and our husbands, our wives that are, getting really irritated with everything because sure, you're getting the results that you want, but what happened to my spouse? What happened to my mom? What happened to my dad? So it is possible to put in lots of effort and get lots of rewards on those things. So on the other end of things, and I see a lot of people that kind of land in this quadrant as well, but if they are not getting the efforts that they want, but they do find it really, really easy to do all this stuff. Like, oh my gosh, I threw all of this stuff up and, I put a post up on Facebook and I just automatically send it out every single day. or I have an email that I set to automatically email everybody that's going to go out. But oftentimes those results, they're practically non-existent, right? You're not getting any revenue. And quite often the easiest things that we can do, it's really not working at all. It's not giving us what we want, right? It's not giving us the money. It's not giving us the impact that we had hoped to make on the world. It's not giving us the revenue and the autonomy to be able to live the kind of life that we want to live. So, you might be doing it all, right? All of the things that everybody's telling you, just like you would find up here in this quadrant here. But, it's just not working. You're not getting the results, and you're thinking that you're doing the right things, but you're kind of getting a little bit stuck, right? So you think that you're doing everything, and you hope that you're doing it all right, but it's super easy. A lot of times, especially with the way marketing and automation is now, people will do those kind of things, right? They'll set things on autopilot. They'll have 20 different social media sites because they've got to be everywhere, but it's really hard to create content for 20 different sites. I mean, let's be honest, it's hard enough to create content for just one. So what they do is they will mass post it out to everybody, regardless of how it's showing up, or regardless of what those kind of people are like, regardless of whether or not your actual intended audience, whether that be your team members or your customers, are actually there. So these things, yeah, sure, they're really, really easy, but guess what? You end up with no revenue, and you're not making the progress that you want. And these are the people that quit the quickest. These are the people that usually last about 6 months. Sometimes they'll pull it out even for a year. These guys up here, they will last a really long time. They will go at it because they are making the revenue. They think they're making a difference. But burnout is a real thing, guys. Like that's what's happening. What's happening to people when they're in that quadrant, because they are getting the results and they think that the only way to continue to get those results is to continue to do all the things that's going to be burning them out, right? So that's what happens there. Now for this one, where things are easy and you're getting the actual results, I mean, this is kind of the dream, right? This is why we start everything. This is more like a leveraged effort, right? So you're taking the things that you're supposed to do, but you are relying on systems and processes. You've got a duplicated team that is not requiring your attention every moment. These kind of people, they are really, they're only spending a portion of their time doing all the things that these people over here are doing. And that's why we talk about leveraged effort, right? So that you are just not simply just constantly working and trying to do the things that you need to do. So this is kind of what the dream is, right? This is what we talk about. When you think about when you first sat down with whoever signed you up with your company, they probably talked a lot about how we've got all of these different business products for you. You can get a website, you can have these flyers, you can get business cards made up, you're going to have training from your upline and training from the managers. All of those kind of things that they talk about, that we find out really falls, down in these two quadrants, right? They're either hard and no results, or they're easy and no results. All of it results in us kind of leaving. So this is really the quadrant that everybody wants to try to get to. They're just not quite sure how to get there. So when we talk about leveraged effort, we're talking about the teams, we're talking about really putting automation into place in the right kinds of ways, and knowing the difference between kind of plastering our flyers all over the entire city and walking into a small area, knowing that everybody that's in that area wants what I have, and having a conversation with them. Those are the difference that are going to be happening there. So what's the difference between what's up here in this little section, right? Because these guys up here, this is like super duper where everybody wants to live. And it's not really something that a whole lot of people talk about, because it's almost like the holy grail, right? So when we talk about this quadrant and the very top of all of those people, it's really the people who are completely like effortless in what they're doing. And that's like a whole other ball game. This is like the pinnacle, right? So if this is the dream, this is like, holy crap, I think I've died and gone to heaven. And those kind of people, when we're thinking, if this is like a 1 down here and this is a 10, these people are like an 8, right? So they're very, very small amount in there. And so this line here, this is like the line of evidence, right? So when we get on board with a new company, and we have people telling us how easy it is to make the money, and they're telling you about the fast start bonuses and ways that you can get people moving and earn all of this money. And what I always look at is, where's that evidence line, right? And the evidence line, for the most part, is going to be previous results, right? So if you can show me previous results of people who have done that, then that's kind of where I'm going to start to believe in what you're saying, because otherwise it's just you telling me that this is really, really easy. It's you telling me that all kinds of people are doing it. And let's be honest, there are people within companies that are making a boatload of money. I know some of them personally, but is that the reality? Is that the norm for things, right? So if I have, 1 million consultants across the world in a particular company, but only, 0.1% of those people are actually making what you're telling me that I can make, is that really an evidence line? Can I really put everything that you're saying above that evidence line? Or is that just kind of like a pipe dream? And, do you even know how to get me there? Because that's where I find that the biggest problems exist. Because we have to remember, our corporate offices, they do spend a lot of money understanding psychology and how to get people to buy. And it also works on you guys too, because that's why we sign up. But as people come down, the managers, of course, district managers, area managers, they are receiving training on how to help the people that are within their area and the customers, and training them. But do they really know how to get you guys from here and from here way up to here? The answer for most of that is no. Because they might be really good at taking what corporate says and disseminating that to you guys and helping you to understand things. But do they understand the mechanics of human psychology? Do they understand the mechanics of online marketing? Because I can tell you, online marketing and hundreds lists, they don't work together. Online marketing and plastering social media with your why and inspirational stories, they can work to a point, but when you don't have a strategy of what your business is going to look like, we don't land up here, guys. You might be lucky and land here, but let's be honest, do you really want to burn out? Do you really want to have all of your effort going towards that business just to make that money? Or would you like to kind of send yourself over here? This is where most people want to be. Right? So those are the kinds of things that we look at when people tell me that they've tried things. They've tried MLM, they've tried social media, they've tried internet marketing or digital marketing. And these are the kinds of things that kind of run through my mind in terms of all of that kind of stuff. And let me just show you guys one other quick thing. Of all of those ones, and you guys can do this at home too. This is super, super easy. What I want you to do is kind of make 3 columns, and my drawing skills are not great, guys. I'm using a mouse to get these lines, so that's why they're a little bit ridiculous. So what I want you to do over here is list out kind of all the things that are going wrong, right? So what is just not working for you? So, maybe you're going to put in there that you're not making any money or no money. And that can be anything from, I haven't made a single penny to, sure, I'm making a couple $100 or maybe even a couple of $1,000, but it's not enough for me to quit my day job. I certainly can't put, go all in this, too time consuming, too much effort. All of those kind of things are, in any business, but especially in network marketing, because we are kind of given the foundation of everything. By the time we get to actually putting it in place, we're kind of a little bit scattered and not really sure, which is also another problem that a lot of people have. Is not enough focus. And this isn't your fault, because nobody's teaching you guys what it is you really need to spend your time on. Do you need to spend your time on making business cards? No. Do you need to spend your time on even really building a website? No. There are certain things that are going to move your business from where you want it to be to, or where you are to where you want it to be. And a lot of the things that you guys are doing and in creating promotions of, and giving away free things and all these kind of things, they're not what's going to drive your business. What's going to drive your business when you're starting out is you need people to sell to. And if you've got nobody to sell your products to or your services to, or you've got nobody to kind of talk about this business opportunity, then none of that other stuff matters. You have to have a baseline of who you're actually going to be talking to. So I want you to list in that first column all of the kinds of things that are kind of going wrong. Over here, I want you to think about what you do want. Like what really makes you happy. And I really want to hear back from you guys, because I'll tell you what people usually will tell me is, well, it's the opposite. I want to make money and I want it to be effortless and I want to know what to work on. They literally take their, sad faces and literally flip them up on the end and make them into happy faces. And the reason that I want to hear back from you guys is because I really want to challenge those answers, because often what people tell me that they want isn't really what they want, right? Do you need to make more money? I mean, unless you are homeless and about to is it really the money? Why do you want to make the money? Is it because you want to take vacations, right? I want to go on vacations with my family. I want to be able to make memories. Those kind of things. Why do you need that money? Why do you want it to be effortless? You still want a life. You still want to have a life, right? Maybe you've got young kids at home still, and maybe they're just coming into school or they're in daycare or not going to school yet. But maybe you want more time with your kids, right? And your family as a whole. Because if you remember to that first drawing, that really hard effort, but getting the rewards, it's all consuming. It's taking all of that time away from you. You don't have those kind of things. And then, from there, I want to challenge you guys even more, because, all of these things can kind of be fit into kind of groupings, right? So, I mean, yeah, making more money and having time with your family or your kids and being able to do those things that make memories, all of those things are really, really nice. But, I mean, I could go and get a job and make more money. I could have nights and weekends and a couple of weeks off every single year. And I could make enough money to go and have a vacation with my kid, or I could, have enough time where when he's home, I'm home and we're making memories. But all of these kind of things, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, and these words might be a little bit different for you. But what I really kind of think is what most people are looking to have. The first thing is, I think impact. So when I say impact, what I mean is, you don't want to just kind of float through life, right? You want to be able to be remembered, to leave a legacy, right? You want to be known for something. You want to make a difference in people's lives. Because I'll tell you, when I used to watch all of these different shows, they would be bosses that would, undercover boss, and they would go in, and I used to cry every single time, because I thought, even though I knew that this was all staged and kind of, it's television, the thoughts behind it, right? Being able to be in a position where I could make that much of a difference in somebody's life was amazing. It is on my dream board, right? So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about impact. are you going to make an impact on somebody's life if you are selling Avon and, you've got skincare systems that you want to kind of get people to use? No, but, well, maybe not. But when you think about, I heard a story about a dermatologist who would do different therapies to get rid of acne. And most of the people in the area were charging like $90 a session, and she was charging 300 and some odd dollars for a session. And they kept coming back and saying, like, sounds really good, but it's really expensive because I can go over here and get it done for $90. But when she talked about the impact that things have, and she talks about that connection, and she creates that little bit of connection between her and the person that she's talking to. And when she uses words like, I really do believe that everybody deserves to have skin that they love living in. That impact that it made at that moment was enough to shift somebody from, you're too expensive, I can get it done cheaper, to I need that in my life because now I don't know what that $90 person is going to be doing. And she talked about, what would it mean to you if you could, get rid of the scars and the acne that have been, plaguing you for all of your life? And people would say things like, well, I'd finally be happy, and I'd go out more, and I'd smile, and, I'd be able to find a partner. All of these different things that for them, the end result was, I want to get rid of my acne. But there was a whole lot of other things that were happening in there. And the impact that she was able to make on their life because of being able to give them the things that they wanted was enough for people to be drawn to her. So when I talk about impact, that's the kind of things that I'm really needing. And, when I say, like, let's go a little bit deeper in that, tell me what your answers are in this happy column, and let's go a little bit deeper. That's kind of what we're talking about, right? So that you can really understand what it is you want and why you want to do it. So impact is the first thing. Autonomy is another one. And what I mean there is, it's really freedom, right? Because that, again, is kind of the big dream of what you actually want, right? That's kind of what it is. So when we talk about like vacations with our family, for example, like this one here, that is really, it's about autonomy, because like I said, I can go out and get a job and get a couple of weeks of vacation every single year and be able to do those things with my son. But if I have autonomy in my life and now I no longer have to answer to anybody else, yeah, it's great to be able to take a vacation or two every year and know that it's going to be coming up. But what would it be like if you didn't even have that restriction? You could literally decide that you were going to go somewhere next week because you had the money to do it. You had the ability to do it. You didn't have the ties that were binding you down. You didn't have to go into work on Monday, and you could work and do the things that you needed to do. So that's what we talk about when we think about autonomy, right? Is being able to do the things that we want to do without the restrictions and those kind of things. So that's that one. And then of course, the other thing that people want is money. And it's not a selfish thing. A lot of people are they have this weird thing about money. They think that there's such thing as too much. But when you are combining that with the impact that you want to make in the world, then it's not so scary. It's not so bad. But I really do think when I look at the types of people that have talked to me and hear where they are in this section and where they want to go, when I look at where they want to go, it really comes down to these three things: impact, autonomy, and making money. So I want to see what your list looks like. So what, just grab a scrap piece of paper and make those three columns. So the only thing that we haven't talked about is kind of what's in the middle. What's in the middle is what takes you from where you are right now to where you want to go. That's really all the middle column is. And that can be a lot of things for a lot of people. Sometimes it is their own lessons, right? Their own kind of research, whatever it is that they're going to be doing. Sometimes it's a mentor, right? It could be your upline. Right now, that's generally what it is, right? It's generally your upline, and it's generally whatever research that you're actually finding on your own. Maybe it could be testing that you're doing. You know, like I tried walking around the neighborhood and that didn't work, but I tried walking around in a shopping center and that did work. So those kind of things are what gets you there. It could be courses that you're buying, you know, mentors that you're having, coaching that you're doing, all of those kind of things. But I wanted to give you guys kind of a heads up on something that we're doing, which is a free webinar that talks a lot more about some of the things that we're talking about here. So my big goal, I mean, if I had a dream for every person that I ever worked with, it would be for them to have these three things, to be able to have impact, be able to have autonomy in the world, and be able to make more money. So everything that I do is related to those kind of three things. So I wanted to do a webinar where I was going to take a little piece of a course that I sell and teach it to you guys, really, because it'll give you guys a starting point. And lots of people, you know, I know, you know, in the 10 years that I've been in business, I started off with no money. I could not afford anything. So I learned it as I went. And it's, you know, on that spectrum of, you know, easy's over here and hard's over here. I was always on this side because it took a lot of time to do all of that stuff and trial and error and research and kind of understanding all of that stuff. I was always on the hard side. But a lot of people take this and they just run with it, and they can make a difference in their business just by kind of the things that we're going to talk about. So it's going to be a webinar that's going to be coming up this Thursday. I mean, I'd love for you guys to be there. And if this kind of stuff makes sense to you, if you're kind of thinking like, you know, I definitely want to move, I'm just not quite sure how, the webinar is going to kind of give you that focus, right? So it's going to be able to give you the focus that you need of knowing what to work on, so that you guys aren't like building out websites and building out flyers and business cards and wasting all this time doing things that aren't going to get you guys any effort, right? Because then it's going to be on that bottom part of the quadrant, right? Either easy or hard, but no results. Because the people can't find you if they can't do anything. So one of the things that I want to teach you guys on the webinar is about how to attract the leads, right? That's going to be one of those things. This is really hard with an actual with a mouse instead of without a pencil. So I want to actually show you guys how to attract those leads and how to find the people without using like hundreds lists, without having to, you know, nag your family and your friends and you know, kind of make it a little bit on the sly where you're like, you know, I need a presentation, I need to practice. So could you like come over with a couple of people and I can practice on you? That kind of really sucks. So I want to be able to give you guys ways and strategies that you can actually attract people who don't know you, and more importantly, people who want to hear from you, how they can actually find out more information, and you can get that baseline, and a way bigger baseline than your hundreds list, of actually people who are qualified, people who are interested, they are willing, and they want to hear from you. I mean, could you imagine the difference between, like, you know, how they teach you guys to go on social media and, you know, find these people that you used to know and find ways of talking to them, which is something that happened to me. You know, somebody that I hadn't talked to in years, you know, messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, you know, it's been so long. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You know, how have you been doing? And, you know, here's what's been going on in my life. And my kids are doing this. And, you know, I split up with my ex-husband just like you did. And, you know, like all of this thing. And at first I was like, oh, you know, like this is really cool. You know, I kind of thought that we kind of lost contact and you dropped off. And then it was like the quick turnaround, right? So it's like, so listen, I've been doing this thing. And, you know, it was like a little pitch fest after that. And I mean, honestly, as soon as it was like that, listen, it was done. Like I didn't want anything more to do with her, not only with her business, but as a person too. Like I was like, you know, how could you come in and try to make me feel like so reconnected to you and then turn it around and really all you just want is my money? I was really pissed off for a really long time. So I want to give you guys ways that are not going to be sleazy. They're not going to be difficult for you guys. You know, there's a lot of people who are shy and don't like to put themselves out there. And this makes it easy for them. Easy to find people who actually want to listen to them instead of people who are going to slam the doors on them. So I want to teach you guys, I mean, I have a whole system, and I don't really, I'm not that good of a drawer, to be honest. But let me see, do I have, I do. Let me show you guys. Let me see if I can share my screen. This one over here. So this is kind of what it looks like, right? And I'm not going to get into trying to write in these tiny little things. But this is kind of my whole system of how I approach marketing for home-based businesses. And, in the middle is always, what you guys need, which is completely different than how most people approach selling. But regardless, it all stems from you guys here in the middle, and then those things that I talked about, right? So, making more money, having more impact, and having the autonomy. And there's different ways that I approach it, and that's what kind of fills out over here. So there's three kind of main things that I really talk about, and it's like attracting those those people that are going to be coming in, and building out your brand and your authority, which is huge for network marketers, because most people, I mean, there are now some people who are starting to do it. Unfortunately, they're just not doing it very well. So I think that that's a really strong point for understanding that one. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that means for personal branding, what it really means, and not just from a perspective of, I'm not going to post my company name, I'm going to post from me. There's so much more that goes into it, and building that out. And then the last part is really that duplication, right? So to get you guys from, it's easy, and I'm getting those results. So that top right quadrant, and if you remember, we also had that kind of super extreme people that were completely effortless. And that comes from, leveraging teams and making them truly duplicatable. And those are the three things that I really think that every network marketer really needs to know and understand in order to build the kind of business they're going to build. So that was kind of I didn't mean to go into all of that one, but there it is. Now you guys know for those things. Let's go back to the whiteboard here. And there we go. So that's kind of what we do on those ones. So it's coming up on Thursday. It's going to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, because it's a Thursday and those days are really, really busy for me. There's not going to be a replay though. That's the only thing. I'm not a fan of replays. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm just not going to have a replay. So I want you guys to show up. I want to be able to teach you a little bit more about this. And I would love to have some friendly faces on there, because this is going to be going out to a lot of people who don't know me at all. So I'd love to have some friendly faces on there, make me feel a little bit more comfortable and good about myself, having a couple extra people in there too. So I would love for you guys to join me. It's going to be like an hour of free training, focused on those three parts that I talked about: attracting and branding and authority, and teams and duplication. And we're going to kind of pick and choose, because I can't teach it all in like 60 minutes. But I'm going to pull out what I think are the three things that are going to take you from where you are right now and kind of get you moving into the right direction, so that, even if you never hear another word from me, you can take that webinar and at least get started. Give yourself the focus and the kind of things that you guys are going to need, and it'll get you started on the right way. So I'm going to put a link down below the video, and you guys can hop over there. It's free. There's no cost on it. We're just going to do a little bit of teaching on there. If you know somebody who might need to hear this, maybe you've got people on your team, then please forward this over to them. You can give them the whole video, or you can just give them the link to get their seat. It is going to be reserved to only 100 people. So there's only going to be, if we have like 110 people that register and 110 people that show up, 10 of you are not going to get on. So if you've got people that that are, kind of not really doing network marketing right, maybe you're this could be your way of being like, you know what, maybe you should do things a little bit differently. Oh, listen to this woman. Or maybe you're doing it yourself and you want to be there so that you can learn for yourself and build that kind of business that you're looking for. And if you've got any kind of a team, even if there's only 1 or 2 of you, invite them. That makes it easier for you guys, because then you don't have to learn the things and put them into process and then go back and teach them. We'll just teach you guys all at the same time. And so I would love that if you guys could share that out. If you could join me and give me a little woo-woo in the comments to keep my spirits up in there too. So I am going to stop this for now, guys. I'm going to put a couple of worksheets in here too, because my drawing is not the best, as you guys can see. So I will give you some worksheets so you guys can work through there too. But I would love to see you guys on Thursday. So I'm going to call off now, and I will talk to you guys really, really soon.